video. Now let's start Audacity. Welcome, everyone. It's the Mike Tech Show, show number 880. Tonight, going to talk about Microsoft Office and Outlook fixes that we've been dealing with the last couple weeks, and I believe we're going to continue. And, Microsoft is pushing updates in Office and doing some horrible things that's causing us grief and a lot of work. And hopefully some of the fixes and the things that I'm going to share tonight is going to help you. RoboForm. 2 clients, I had to have discussions about RoboForm. And DesktopOK, that's going to come up in the discussions tonight because that's an app where you can save your icons. And I have a great story of an important client that we had to migrate his main laptop to a new laptop, and he lives and dies by the organization of his icons and some things I learned about DesktopOK. Got an email, just one email at the end of the show, talking about 2 utilities. The one DNS benchmark, and then we're going to talk about ShieldsUP for a second. And of course, they're programs by Steve Gibson. So let's start our journey with the before I deep dive into the Microsoft Office issues. We have a ton of work, and that was one of the reasons no show last Thursday. And really, for the last couple months, I apologize that I can only do every other week because we've been busy, and knock wood, glad we're busy. We really need it. And tomorrow, just to give you an idea, I really might post some pictures of this. We're laying out a big table behind me, and we got 10 laptops for a client that we have to configure. Then I have a huge precision workstation for a client that just got delivered from Dell, and they're all Dell laptops, and we're configuring that tomorrow, and it's going to be scheduled to be installed next week. The laptops we have to swap out with their current laptops, so that means data transfers happening. It's very, very busy. Here's something that just happened today. New client that we took over from another IT company, and luckily they paid the IT company till the end of the year to still respond and support us. And because of the email migration, their scanning is not working from their main scanner. And I tried so I got to change. It's probably where it's sending in the email. Nobody knows that. And I need to create that email, and up in the Microsoft land for Microsoft 365, because they can't scan the email anymore, and we don't have the admin login, and the password and login from the other IT company didn't work, and they even tried it, and they said, look, this is the last one we had, and that's what we shared with you. So tomorrow I have to contact the support company for the device, for the hardware device, and let's hope that they can get me in, because I don't want to reset to the factory defaults. And yes, I've tried the default password, and I've tried upper and lower case. I've really pounded away at it today. So it looks like tomorrow I will be continuing with that, and I need to get that fixed. There's just a lot of other little things. So now what I'm going to do is, for a good portion of the show, I am going to be displaying my screen. And let me switch over to display capture. And what we're going to talk about is the repair an Office application. If an application keeps crashing or isn't working, Word or Excel, isn't working, then this is a couple steps on how to repair the application. So this is the first link, and you can do a you can go into the apps and features, make sure to click modify when you click the right version of Office, and do a quick repair. You can also do a really big repair if you want, which is the online repair where it completely uninstalls. But I'll tell you this has helped me fix a couple problems, and this is the repair. If that didn't help, or if you try to uninstall the product and it doesn't uninstall properly, you get a message something went wrong. And I'm sure everybody's familiar with that with Office. Well, there's a download here on this link from Microsoft, and this is their repair tool. Run it. It really fixes the uninstall. So I had Office 2019 crashing, just terrible. And what I wanted to do is, give me a second here, and there we go. What I wanted to do is uninstall it and reinstall it, and I couldn't uninstall it properly. Every time I kept to remove it, it would fail. Well, running this repair, I was able to select Office 2019. It actually uninstalled it, and then I was able to reinstall it. I also had this happen with Microsoft 365, and again, I had to use this utility. So this utility has saved me a couple times in the past couple weeks. Now, here is an error. We're having trouble fetching results from the server, or some items may not be included in your search results. So this one, there's a few solutions here, but I'm going to tell you the one. This issue can also be seen if Outlook client is missing the latest updates. I've ran the latest updates. No joy. Here's possible solution 2 that everybody always recommends: rebuild the Outlook search index. Again, no joy. This is the one that helped me for one client, which I would have never thought of. Check if you have set the value to all under the use cached exchange mode section. If no, then set it. Set it and like drag the icon all the way to all. There's some more things here, which is just reset and rebuild the Outlook profile. There's some other things to try, which is start Outlook as an administrator. I'll tell you, it's been there's some other, if you have an on-prem Exchange server, there's some other things that you can try as the Exchange administrator. But this has been annoying for one of my clients. And actually now they're still having some problems. And I've now had to escalate this to SureWeb because we went to Outlook Web Access and we're still having some issues with not finding all the results. And that's impossible because that's directly off the server. So now that's in the hosted Exchange SureWeb land for that problem. So that was another issue. Here's one that just the simple, this how to export. And I had to use this twice for exporting, and I'll never understand why. And this is one of the few problems that I run into with Fab's auto backup. Well, I have an important client that's got a laptop that has the most complicated email setup that I could ever describe. He's got multiple emails, but the 3 email accounts go directly to a PST file for delivery. So two problems. And one is a hosted exchange, which is the main email. The other email is Hotmail, and the third is Verizon.net. Now, the POP accounts for the Hotmail and the Verizon go to the main PST. When we were done migrating using Fab's auto backup, those accounts would not work. They could not resolve going to that same PST file. I don't know why, but they didn't. So I had to recreate them and point them there. Also, he has 4 calendars that are attached to the PST. Only 3 of them came over. Well, what happened to the 4th one? It's built into the PST. Why didn't it show up? So we had to take the hard drive, which is a PCIe NVMe, and I can just talk on camera for this, and put the, I'm playing here. Here we go. So we took the NVMe out and put it into an enclosure, which was USB-C, so we could do the transfer for Fabs. So once the transfer was done, figured, okay, everything's looking good, and now we're playing more and more with getting everything configured. We put a new NVMe in the old laptop because we're redoing it, because we're going to redeploy that. Well, it took a day for my client to realize that that 4th calendar was missing. And I'm like, don't worry. We didn't touch anything on the original drive. So we had to put that drive back in to the old machine, to the older laptop, boot it up. I was able to export that calendar, took a couple seconds, and then I was able to copy that to a USB, take it over, import it, and it was fine. So one of the things now for the next link is, well, how do you import and export from Exchange? And it's very simple, and this is the process in case you've never done it. But here's the thing. I had to export notes for a client and get that to exported it to a file that was comma separated values, and that worked. So had to get all the notes. That was a mess. This same client has passwords all over the place, and so does another client. The client with the laptop that we went from the older laptop to a really nice precision high-end laptop. Well, their passwords were pages and pages and pages of passwords that they have saved. And look, protect it. RoboForm. I live in RoboForm. I use that. You could give pros and cons for a lot of these, and I'm just a fan of RoboForm, and I've been using it for a long time, and it hasn't let me down. And so I figured that deserves a link. And I had that discussion with 2 different clients this past week. So let's keep going. All right. How to fix it when Outlook keeps asking for a password. So of course, that's happened this week. So if it keeps asking for a password, they have one where you just cancel. No, that's not going to work. Restarting the computer? Nope. You can make Outlook remember your password by unchecking the always prompt for logon credentials. Well, that wasn't the case. Change the Outlook password and using the access your email? No. This is the one that worked, and this always works, and I go to this first all the time, and that's Open Credential Manager. Go to Windows Credentials, remove anything that's related to Outlook or to the website for authenticating, probably through the auto discover. So here it was the SureWeb's, website for authentication. Remove them, then restart it, then type the password, click save, and it remembered for the future logins. So they also have Windows 11 and for how to do it, Windows 10, Windows 11. These are lots of great suggestions. And Dexter in the chat confirms it's especially true with ShieldsUP. And so I'm so committed to ShieldsUP with lots of my clients. I run into this a lot. So especially when they're changing systems, that's when we start to run into this. This is a live wire link that all these links for tonight, worthy of saving and keeping access to them. You will be happy that you did. So this is another fix. And this is for fixing, for troubleshooting and diagnosing problems with Office. And it is Sarah, is a desktop client that enables Microsoft customers to troubleshoot and diagnose their issues. So I highly recommend. It's the Microsoft Support and Recovery Assistant. Another utility that you should always keep. This is one that you have to keep on your main USB stick for your toolbox. Very, very, very worthy of keeping that. So we have lots of utilities here for you to download. And you know what? Get a test system with an old version of Office, or just an Office that you can, delete, or, that you can mess with, and run these utilities and take a look at them. If you haven't before, you should become familiar with these repair utilities, because, boy, I had to dig them up and download them and use them this week, and luckily remotely. A couple of the clients were in Ohio, and I'm in Pennsylvania, so that wasn't, real easy. I couldn't go on site. Now, I do work with someone who can go on site, but there's still a little drive to there, and it makes it easy when I can do these remotely. So that's why it's good to have the link. So you can just download this utility, cut and paste the link into a browser, and be able to remotely do it. Let's see. Okay. The next link is softwareok.com. This is a utility, DesktopOK, that I found years ago for a client, and I talked about it on the show. I was looking for utility that could save the icon positions. He works with 2 external monitors on a docking station with his laptop. So he has his main laptop screen and 2 other computers. But he also, from his home office to his work office, has the same setup, but the monitors are not identical. Okay, you with me? He has hundreds and hundreds of icons, folders, files, all organized in different ways that he uses for his workflow and managing his tasks. So we need to save the icon position, so in case something gets screwed up, he can just click and put it back. So with switching systems, we pulled out the DesktopOK. I backed up everything in that directory. Well, guess what? That any file is not stored in that directory. It is, and man, I had to really research this. It is buried in an app data directory. And what you have to do is, before you copy it back over, you must reboot your computer. And then it was able to see the icon positions. And then it technically didn't work because the resolution was a little different. It's just a little different. So it required some work to put them back. Now, it worked great going into the office, which was nice. So the consistent thing is to make sure you have the same resolution across all the monitors. And anybody that's getting multiple monitors, I always, hey, get the same monitor if you can. It makes life so much better. Like right now, I'm looking at two 24-inch Samsung monitors are in front of me. I have 3 of the identical monitors in Florida. I miss having the third. My layout and my space here does not lend itself to in front of me here to be able to have the 3. And when you're working with 3 monitors and you got to go down to 2, it does make a difference. It really does. And that's why I miss my setup, because that's something I am going to do a tour of, which is because everything's finished in my office down there. And I really need to do an office tour to go over my workflow and the monitors, because I've added a 4th monitor that's independent. That's a 32-inch Samsung smart monitor. And that has been tremendous for me, where I can hook it to my MacBook. I can also hook it to the graphics card on my PC if I need a 4th monitor, if I'm doing some work that requires it. Maybe it's just monitoring server updates on a weekend where I could have 6-7 sessions opened up. It's important to, just keep an eye on everything. And that's the time where I use monitors the most. But that's for another story. We were able to make out and get this right with the OK utility. So still just a tremendous amount of work in trying to get this all set up. So now let's talk about Steve Gibson. And boy, that's a name I haven't heard in a while. He's still doing security now. They told me in the chat. This is from BuildWire. And he said, couple of great utilities from Steve Gibson. And I have not talked about any of his utilities for a long time. But this one I do remember. And it's, hey, test your DNS servers and see how they perform. Because you might want to change where your DNS is going for better internet performance. What a great little utility. So that'll be one link here. And then the final link for the show tonight, it's welcome to ShieldsUP. Now, I'm not going to proceed with mine because it'll give away some information, but what you do is you give permission and it will do a check against your firewall where you're accessing the website for ShieldsUP. So what it will do is it will perform, what if there was a malicious intrusion attempt or attack on your computer? And it's going to identify ports that may be open that you should then look at and close. And it's very, very important to do that. You might want to run that as a test when the first time that you're at a client and maybe you're checking, you want to see, hey, let's see what ports is being seen open from the outside world. As a matter of fact, now that I'm thinking about this, that could be something that, boy, what a possible sale. You could close a deal and a contract for support by showing ports that are open, and you can then say, well, we need to investigate what's behind these ports and why are they open? Do you really need them open? And this is a service you could provide to help. It's really nice if you could demonstrate something for a client. And made me think of something. My son got a referral today for a new client that he's going to be visiting next week. And I'm going to make sure I'm available. But I'm thinking of not going on site with him for this first meet, because the client has a bunch of networking problems that he tossed an IT person out who messed everything up. And from the brief description that my son got for the referral, this may not be it, but it could be. It's like someone put a separate router, and it seems like there's multiple networks that are going on, and that's why certain things can't talk to each other. So he's going to do a recon, and as long as he brings his laptop, I could always remote in, and I could run a bunch of things that can check stuff out. Like, I still love Newt Professional, and I'll run that and see what it finds on the network. You know, maybe there's devices or there's some other things that are messing with the network and the performance. So I believe there's a lot of low-hanging fruit that my son can identify right away, and this should be a client that we're continuing. We got another new client that my son has to go to tomorrow morning, where he's helping her, where she has a very small office, works out of her house, and has 500 gig up and down with Verizon. Okay, nice. Should be good. Well, when I was remoted in for the first time a couple weeks ago, we're Ethernet, and man, I kept getting disconnected. And so I ran fast.com. She's only 1 meg, not 500 meg. Now, if you do a test from the outside with Verizon at the router, it's 500. So at the router, she's getting that performance. Verizon sold some kind of repeater, not a repeater, an extender, and these extenders don't work. And it's basically capping her speed. She would do better with Wi-Fi. So on my son's laptop, when he first went out, he was getting almost 300 or 400 up and down on the Wi-Fi. So all she needs is a Wi-Fi card, get rid of this extender, and that's going to solve her immediate problem, with speed and performance. So she's had multiple IT people. She's now under a retainer for us, for MHS Consulting, because I solved her office problems on the first phone call and had her remote in. We used Instant House Call to quickly get remoted in, and I was able to fix getting her office issues and OneDrive problems. Now, interesting about Instant House Call. Yesterday, and I had and I thank Corey because I didn't realize that this was available. If you go into the admin panel, there's analytics. So we have a sub-account for a client that some of their employees, and the employee was, let's put it this way, HR sat with me and said, can you prove that this person is remoting in when he says he's remoting in? And I said, I was on site yesterday. I said, let me get back to you. I quickly called Corey, and he says, absolutely, Mike. He says, told me to go to analytics after you log into the admin portal, and I was able to search everything and get the reports that they needed. Luckily, this person, the statistics bore out, so it's funny. That person doesn't even realize that his job was saved because of the statistics that was being reported from Instant House Call. So, or whatever you use, you want to make sure that you're getting that kind of data, because you never know when you're going to be asked for something like that. So, that was like right on my mind because that was yesterday. So now I got this weekend. There's a new president for my biggest client, one of my clients, and I got to provide an inventory of all the systems, where we at on Windows 10 and the Windows 11 project. We're only doing a couple systems at a time, So we're going to kind of put a priority together of what we're going to migrate to. So I'm going to be generating a couple reports out of Synchro and sending them. So we had great initial meeting yesterday, which was nice. It's the first time I got to meet him. And that's always important when there's ownership management transfer and things happening with a client. You kind of have to prove yourself again. Like, what do you do for us? Why they didn't say it, but like why do we pay you? What do you do? So and it was pretty obvious and pretty easy. So that was good. Let's see. I think that's it. As I wrap up here, I want to thank everybody for downloading and staying subscribed. Hey, do not forget, all of this is on YouTube. So it's youtube.com/Michael Smith MTS. Email me, MikeTechShow@gmail.com. Please, just, send me, I haven't gotten any voicemails or anything because we don't have the voicemail line, but, hey, record an MP3 and ask a question or comment on something or review something and send it to me. I'll gladly play it on the show. So that would be nice. And don't forget to support the show. There's a nice donation button over at MikeTechShow.com, and greatly appreciate and already appreciate the last show I mentioned, and I appreciate the donations. Thank you so much. It really helps, and especially right now with no advertising on the shows, so I could. It's a nice help, and any amount is appreciated. So that is it, and hopefully I will get back to a regular weekly. Not every other week. So hopefully, same time, same channel next week. I'll see everybody then. Stay safe. Bye-bye.